Welcome to Inside the 12. If you're looking for the center of gravity for the college basketball universe, you have found it. And it's not just because King McClure is here. Certainly not because I'm here. It's because we got 6 teams in the top 25 from the Big 12, more than any other conference in the nation. The Big 12 once again proving it's where it's at.
It's loaded. I mean, this is the best conference in college basketball. And when you look at it top to bottom, even the games in which you think are lesser opponents are still difficult. Kansas learned that earlier this week. They went into Colorado. They struggled to get a win, but they still got one. But this conference is deep. It's loaded. No shortage of talent.
Yeah, that was a late night Big 12 was pretty fun with John Shambi and Fran Fraschilla. You learn a lot. You have a lot of fun. You watch that Colorado-Kansas game was a lot of fun. I'll tell you what's going to be a blast. Saturday afternoon, number 6 Houston at number 12 Texas Tech. That's 2 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN. This is a rematch, King, of the January 6th affair, and that one was more than we bargained for. Houston won that late, 69-65, a back-and-forth game, tied with 150 left, and then Kingston Flemings just took over 23 points. And Texas Tech struggled from 3 in that game, 9 of 18, 32%. It's been a little bit different for Texas Tech recently. We'll get to their three-point success, but immediately I want your reaction to this matchup and what excites you about it.
Yeah, well, that first game, you're absolutely right. I mean, that was a back-and-forth battle, but then Kingston Flemings said, hey, this is my court, this is my show, I'm about to take over and let you know I'm really like that, and he did that. The last 2 minutes of the game, it was his show, all right? But I love this matchup for multiple reasons. Texas Tech is playing a lot better than they were in that game. They're shooting the ball at a crazy clip, at an insane clip from 3. I had a chance to do the Baylor and Texas Tech game earlier this week, and I couldn't believe what my eyes were witnessing, the way that they were letting it fly.
Trust me, we know.
I couldn't believe it, all right? But I was so impressed on how their threes came. Let's roll the footage so that I can show you. Look at this right here. Christian Anderson gets the ball. He's going to pass to JT Toppin, which immediately insinuates a double. Watch where James Najee steps to. As soon as they hit that double, you cannot leave Christian Anderson. He's too good of a shooter. One of the best in the Big 12. Next play. Pay attention to this, all right? The 2 guys that we're circling, one of them's going to go down and try to double. When Cam Carr goes down for that double, now all of a sudden, you leave the backside man open and you create a 2-on-1. Cam Carr actually does not double. Nobody doubles. This is just bad defense by Baylor. This is horrible defense by Baylor. But the kick-out threes, when JT Toppin gets the ball in that mid-post area, right, if you allow him to play one-on-one, you know what he's going to do. He's going to get to his right hand, his left hand, right shoulder. He's going to knock it down over you, get to his hook, and it's an automatic bucket, right? But if you send the double, he has become such a better passer this season. That's one area, well, that in his defense, but that's one of the areas in which I've been most impressed with him this year. Talk about taking his game to the next level. What he does as far as passing out of the double makes it extremely dangerous because you got nothing but shooters all on the floor.
JT Toppin, worth every penny?
Worth every penny and some. That man is a double-double machine. He's a dog.
In a world where we see some of these investments not necessarily panning out, tip of the cap to Texas Tech. That young man is playing absolutely terrific. They shot 63% from 3 in that Baylor game, a rout for Texas Tech. Let's talk about the Houston freshmen. Kingston Flemings, Chris Sinnett. You know, Houston's culture doesn't bend for anybody, but the freshmen bent to the culture, and everything has come together, I think, better than even Kelvin Sampson probably expected.
You know, what's interesting about these freshmen is they fit into the system, but not only did they fit into the system, they actually made the system better. And the reason why is because defensively, you know what they're going to do. However, last year, when you look at what Kingston Flemings can do, his front court speed, how he can get from end to end in the blink of an eye, he makes their transition offense that much better, so they're not super reliant like they were last year on their half-court offense. So honestly, between Kingston Flemings and Senac, the way that they both push the tempo when they run, they really make this Kelvin Sampson system that much better.
Now, we know this is one of the best defenses in the country, but let's show you how. It is time for our Inside the Game breakdown, brought to you by New Era.
Let's roll the film on Houston because defensively, they do a great job on ball screens. And notice on every clip you will see, right, a good defense leads to easy offense. So when Jizzle James tries to split this, well, they're out and they're running. They get a foul. They end up at the free throw line. On ball screens, their hands are always active. Watch this one more time. The hands are always active, which causes deflections. The guard's hands always go low. The big's hands typically go high or low. They kind of alternate. But nonetheless, good defense defense, you get steals, you get out in transition, you're able to run. One more time, look at JoJo Tugler, because he is Mr. Everything for the defense. His intensity, his level of play, his awareness.
Wow.
You get the ball to the corner, they're looking to trap. They are ultra aggressive. There is no clean lanes. But if you notice, once again, who was the recipient of the steal? Kingston Flemings, because now he's able to get out in transition and really put pressure on your defense.
I mean, Houston's it's like watching a horror movie. If you're an opposing offense, I'm waiting for Art the Clown to come out there and double down in the corner. 60.1 points a game they're holding opponents to. That, by the way, was brought to us by New Era. We are happy to have you and helping us break down the game. Look at this, a ton of great games coming at you. We're going to be back after this break, but before we go to break, King, outside of Houston, Texas Tech, what matchup are you most excited for? And it can't be the TCU-Baylor game that you and I are calling together.
Ooh, that's a great question. Let's go Kansas and Kansas State.
Yes.
I think this is a huge one. I think that Jerome Tang needs this win. They need this win, and they have a chance to be able to get it.
All right, more matchups when Inside the 12 returns. Inside the 12 rolls on. I'm Pete Souza. This is a two-way guy. King McClure, defense, offense, analysis too. He's three-way. Yeah, three-way.
Three-way. Here we go.
Three-pronged attack. and Iowa State and TJ Otzelberger. Nobody ever wants to see King McClure on the court, but they love to see him as an analyst. You've had a chance to see a lot of Iowa State, and I can tell you, TJ Otzelberger has to be happy with how his team responded. 2 straight losses, and they bounced back with an extremely convincing win against UCF at home.
This is the response that you want to see, but what do you expect? This is a veteran team led by 2 of the best wings in the country, all right? Here's my question, though, Pete. My question, though, is that can they get more consistent scoring from their guards? We know that Joshua Jefferson is going to be Joshua Jefferson, Mr. Do-It-All, Mr. Triple-Double as he's starting to become. And we know Momcilovic is going to be a guy that can be reliable from beyond the arc. But you know, you've called enough games.
Yeah.
Sometimes your shots are falling, sometimes they aren't. So when Momcilovic isn't knocking down a 3, right, and you still are struggling to get points, consistent points from Torrey and from Lipsy, and you're just relying on Joshua Jefferson.
You need a guy like Bateman. You need a guy like Bateman to bubble up.
You need a guy to step up to the plate and can be a consistent scorer, which you prefer that to be one of your guards. So that's my question, all right? Can they get more consistent scoring from the guards? However, I'm not concerned about this Iowa State team because I do think they're legit. I do think they're one of the best teams in the country.
The scary part about that, though, those 2 losses, both on the road, and Ross Hodge, your buddy, told me just a few days ago, if you're going to win on the road, you got to have that third guy step up, which is exactly what you're talking about. So somebody needs to step up there with consistency. But, man, what about Joshua Jefferson? 12 assists in their last win over UCF. The guy just sees everything.
He's really turned himself into a legitimate first-round draft pick.
Yeah.
I mean, at 6'8", 6'9", his ability to be able to just take over the game, but not just in scoring. I mean, like you said, dropping dimes, you get him into that mid post, right? He can drop it. He can facilitate if they send a double. He's patient enough to be able to score, gets to 2 in the paint, and can really use his footwork, pump fakes, all of the above to be able to get buckets. I mean, that guy right there is so impressive. Honestly, most improved player in the Big 12 right now.
Let's break it down. Back on the road again, right? Saturday afternoon, they take on Oklahoma State. That game is on Peacock. What do you need to see from Iowa State against Oklahoma State to get it done in what is becoming a dangerous road environment again?
Well, I actually had this game the first time. And this wasn't a game when it comes to what you see at Iowa State. This wasn't a game in which Iowa State dominated Oklahoma State. This was a game where, number one, Victorious Miller did not play. I'm sure Victorious Miller will be playing this Saturday, so that could have a major effect. And that was also a game in which Kanye Clary showed the world that he can rise up to the occasion at that point guard spot. So this could be a really dangerous trap game for Iowa State if they aren't locked in, because the game plan that Steve Lutz had, keep it in the middle of the floor, hit the short roll, and when you hit the short roll, let Fowler or let somebody else be able to operate in a 2-on-1 on the backside, it worked to perfection. So I wouldn't be surprised if Oklahoma State can give the Cyclones just a little bit of trouble.
I'm sure TJ Otzelberger really wants to see a win on the road.
Yep.
Tough place to do it in Stillwater. We move on to Kansas. A huge win for them late night against at Colorado. Just a big game. To see all systems kind of being cohesive. Is this team coming together now where they can be as dangerous as a typical Bill Self Kansas team becomes?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, we hope that Bill Self is okay, and we hope that his health it gets back to 100% because he's one of the best in our game. We love to see him on the sideline. Secondly, I will say this. The best thing that happened for Kansas this year is Darren Peterson being in and out the lineup. I never want to see a player injured. However, what this did was it gave these guards confidence because if you watched them at the beginning of the season when Darren Peterson first came out, right, when they were playing Louisville versus what they're doing now, this is two different games. Early on, it looked like it was Darren Peterson and friends. Now it looks like it's Darren Peterson and Trey White and Melvin Council and Marco Jackson. You have a real three-headed monster now because Melvin Council has gained experience and confidence. Trey White has gained experience and confidence. Putting on that blue, white, and red jersey, right, is not easy. There's a lot of expectations, a lot of pressures. Well, Council and White have stepped into that role, and they are starting to fulfill that role as a Kansas Jayhawk. So I mean, that's the best thing to happen.
That is a great take, and that's not like a hot take either. That's good. No, seriously, that makes a ton of sense. The only thing is you may be worried about Darren Peterson's draft status, right? You don't want him to be a guy that people say, oh, he's always hurt, because that's not the case. Let's talk about this game. A huge one coming up. Kansas and Kansas State. I know you're excited about this. Kansas State coming off a win against Utah at home. A little bit of momentum into a huge opportunity, as Jerome Tang will call it.
There are a few places in basketball where Kansas struggles. West Virginia and K-State. Two games where you have to be locked in and prepared if you're a Jayhawk, because if you are not ready, these games will sneak up on you and you'll get beaten. All of a sudden, they'll be rushing the floor and you'll be like, oh, what just happened? So I think Kansas State has a chance in this game. They need it. They're desperate. It's a must-win. Must-win for Jerome Tang.
All right, well, Bill Self said on Thursday that Darren Peterson is dealing with some ankle soreness because of a sprain, unsure about his status for Saturday's game. We are sure that it's time for us to bring you our Hell of a Good game-breaking plays, brought to you by Hell of a Good Dip. Game on, dip in. Let's get this party started. We start at Fog Allen. Fear the fog. How about this? Pick, here's the 6. Badunga, bang! Kansas all over in this game, taking care of business.
Let's take it to Tucson, Arizona, because Tobe Awaka giving us his best Dikembe Mutombo impression, saying, nuh-uh, not in my house. You better come with some type of respect.
And that court looks great, too. All right, how about this one? Oklahoma State, Anthony Roy, spinning his way to a bucket. That's what it's called, putting your opponent in a spin cycle, making it look easy, also making it look really good. Oklahoma State will beat Kansas State 84-83.
Now let's go to Ames, because Jada Williams, what can't she do? Defensively, she's a pest. Offensively, she put up a 44-piece. This was one of the most impressive performances I've seen all season in men's or women's.
And we'll dig into more of that, by the way, women's basketball, when we come back after this break. Rachel Galligan is going to join us. We go inside women's college basketball in the Big 12, inside the 12. Welcome back to Inside the 12. Time to talk women's basketball. Pete Souza, King McClure, and we bring in the third member of our team right now, Rachel Galligan. We are so excited to have you. How's everything been going? I mean, we're like 2/3 of the way through the season.
I can't even believe it. I was looking at my calendar. I'm like, it's going to be like February next week. This is wild.
Yeah, and February blows by, but we are enjoying every single second, and there's been a lot of great women's basketball to enjoy. And also, some upsets and some surprises. Kansas State really on a roll, handing Texas Tech their first loss. They're victorious against Houston. How are they able to build on this, Rachel?
Well, I think it was an impressive win for a young Kansas State team. They're a team with a lot of talent, but obviously this is a new era and head coach Jeff Mitty's system. That game in particular against Texas Tech, it was a balanced offensive performance. But to me, the most glaring stat in that game was their ability to dominate the glass. K-State out-rebounded Texas Tech 46-20 on their own floor, which really stood out to me. And keep in mind, this was also Kansas State's second top 20 win of the season. They beat number 13 ranked Ole Miss in December. They're coming off a solid win over Houston on Wednesday, like you said. So in my opinion, keep a close eye on this team as we progress into the later part of the season. In my mind, they've always been kind of this team that had a chance to be scary in March.
Let's talk about another hot team. Thank God for Baylor women's basketball, because the women's team is on a 7-game win streak. What is working in Waco?
Well, they're just really clicking right now. Like you said, winning 7 in a row, coming off a convincing win over UCF on Wednesday. I really think this is a team who's they came into the season with a lot of talent and a lot of expectations. They were battle tested early on. You're seeing a lot of these new faces settle into roles, and they're really starting to gel with one another on the court. They're incredibly disciplined on the defensive end of the floor, which we know travels. And they've got one of the most dynamic guards in the country in Talia Scott, who's number 15 in the nation in scoring. And as you guys know, one of the most high energy players in Dariana Littlepage Buggs. Right now, I just see a team who's playing with a ton of fun and a ton of confidence.
You know, those are the two stars, Rachel. And I know you know something about playing guard. Talia Scott, the prolific one, but Jana Van Geitenbeek has really been someone who I think that her role returning from injury has really enabled them to sort of settle down at times when last year it felt like they could get a little helter-skelter. How much has her experience and presence helped this team?
I think it's been huge. I mean, even just from a depth perspective, being able to go 12 players deep in practice, we haven't really seen that out of Baylor in the last couple of years. And so having that type of consistency, especially out of Van Geitenbeek, has been huge for this team, huge for this roster. And I know head coach Nikki Collin really thrives on Van Geitenbeek and what she's brought to this team this year.
How about some explosive performances? Let's start with Staley Hurd. Triple-double?
A triple-double, 18 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists to hand Iowa State their 5th consecutive loss. To me, Hurd has always been someone that I am extremely high on. She's really starting to find her rhythm now in this second part of the season, averaging 21 points, just under 10 rebounds, and 4 assists in her last 4 contests alone. So she's really coming on. She was named Big 12 Player of the Week to go along with Naismith Player of the Week as well. And then I got to add, I mean, just another incredible performance. Just the other night, Jada Williams dropped a career-high 44 points in Iowa State for Cincinnati earlier this week. She scored or assisted on 62 of Iowa State's 93 points. That's the most by any player in Division I this season. I think Williams is putting up career best in nearly every statistical category, and she's 4th in the nation in assists. She's been fantastic for the Cyclones.
Wow.
There's a lot of good hoopers in the Big 12. No shortage of that, all right? And this weekend, there are no shortage of good games. Give the fans a few matchups they should pay attention to.
Well, I got to go with my Lady Raiders. They've lost 2 in a row. They're going to go to Utah on Saturday. I love this matchup, especially in Salt Lake. I think it's important for a team like Texas Tech, who, they're hitting a little bit of a rough patch in their season after winning 19 straight games. It's really important, you guys know this, to go on a road swing and come out with at least 1 win. So I think that that's a really big, important win for Texas Tech to be able to take that back home to Lubbock. But Utah is tough. Lonnie White has been made for TV this season with her offensive production and efficiency. That's going to be a really fun game. And then Kansas State versus Kansas on Saturday. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you've got to check out Jalea Davis of Kansas, one of the top scorers in the country, let alone as a freshman, averaging just under 21 points per game. She's been named Big 12 Freshman of the Week 3 consecutive weeks. Now, clearly, this is an in-state rivalry matchup. Both teams looking to build on some momentum in January. You can catch that one on FS1.
Rachel Galligan, thank you so much. Make sure you guys catch her again. You'll see her on your phone, on your TV, on your computer, calling college hoops, analyzing college hoops, and you can see her on Inside the 12 as well. We'll check her out next week. Rachel, have a great week and stay safe out there with this weather coming.
You guys too.
All right, we'll be right back with more Inside the 12. We're going to talk about the Arizona Wildcats. Something special going on out there in Tucson. Maybe the best offense in college basketball. We'll break it down. Inside the 12 is brought to you by Hell of a Good Dip. Game on, dip in with Hell of a Good. Down the stretch we come on Inside the 12. Pete Souza, of course, the great King McClure, and some great matchups for you coming this weekend. But some elite play by Arizona so far. 19-0. Wednesday, they just dismantled Cincinnati, 77-51, a win of 20-plus points. This past Saturday, they win at UCF, 84-77. UCF is becoming a tougher and tougher place to play. What have you seen? What did you say, I should ask you, on the call out of Arizona. What did you see?
This is the best team in the country. They have no holes. They can do it inside. They can do it outside. Their wings are great. This is the most unique team in the country, but this is also the best team in the country.
They have a tough 2-game stretch coming up. West Virginia, right? West Virginia is coming off a win at Arizona State. That game is 2 p.m. Eastern time on CBS. A huge game. Coming away, something's happening in Morgantown, dude. They haven't lost a game at home in 15 games dating back to last year. Ross Hodge has them 4-2 in conference. He wants guys that produce. He wants guys that are going to be available and play. And he wants dudes that have won games. He's got that. There's, you got your honors Huff and you got your Trace and Eagle staff, but they got a team, dude. It's special.
I'll tell you this, it is special, but it's not going to be special on Saturday. not playing against this Arizona team, because the one weakness that I think that this West Virginia team has is they're very thin in the front court. They have my man Harlan Obioha, for all you West Virginia fans that have come in my DMs for not being able to say his name correctly. It's Obioha. I know how to say it now, right? So they have him, but outside of him, they're only about 6'8" and 6'7" in the front court.
And that dude plays so hard he gets into foul trouble.
Yes, and I promise you, when you're going up against Awaka, Krivas, and Koa Pete, you're going to get into some foul trouble because those dudes are monsters. So I will say it's going to be a tough win. It's going to be a tough one try to pull off. So I don't see them having success this Saturday.
All right, well, let's talk about Arizona going to BYU. Another huge test. That game Monday, 9 Eastern on ESPN. It's like old school Big Monday, baby. Cannot wait for this one. How do you break this down?
This is going to be a better matchup. However, my concern is the same thing. The front court. The reason why I love this Arizona team is when I say they're the most unique team in the country, they don't shoot a lot of threes, which I think that travels because you're not worried about making or missing shots. You're going inside out. They're going to duck you in every single possession, and Keita is literally going to see Krivas for about half the game. He's going to see Awaka. He's going to be getting ducked in constantly. And then when they do shoot threes, Pete, because they play an inside-out style, they're shooting above a 37% clip. I mean, there's no weaknesses. If they need somebody to take over at the end of the game, Jaden Bradley is that dude, one of the best point guards in the country. There's no weaknesses. I think that they can pull this one off, too.
BYU wins that game because it's at BYU. And that's the reason why, really, I just think.
I will say that for them to win, DeBonsta has to be the number 2 pick in the draft. He has to be a top 2 pick. He has to play like he's a top 2 pick in order for them to win.
An opportunity for A.J. DeBonsta to seal the deal as number 2. I think he's probably sitting somewhere saying, hey, man, I should be number 1. We can talk about that next week. Be safe out there this weekend with the weather. For King McClure, I'm Pete Souza. We will see you next time on Inside the 12.